that says there had to be someone to engineer that communication network. You don't have, according to Einstein, who said matter cannot organize itself into information that is instructional. Can't do it. There's no examples of that. So I'm then looking for a first cause. You said, where did that come from? Where did life come from? Well, because I know that life isn't just sort of something that can spark into existence, because that defies the law of biogenesis, but also it defies the causality of information that is encoded in the DNA. You know who Bill Gates is?
Yeah.
He said DNA is like software, only it's far, he said twice, more complex than any software that's ever been created. So what you really need behind that is intelligence, because according to this law of specified information, anytime you have an encoded message with an expected or instructional action, with an envisioned purpose, it's not just saying things, it's actually giving instructions to build things in a specific way. You will never have that, ever. No examples ever, except it comes from a mind. You can always trace that back. From a book written or from a software that's written, you can always trace it back to a mind. Right. So all I'm saying is when I follow the evidence, it says there has to be a mind that is supreme.
Well, where's the mind come from?
That's a great question, because it wasn't manufactured now, was it? The
came from nowhere.
The mind came not from an it, came from a who explains the adequate cause for everything. All I'm saying is, if you have information, instructional information, and it exceeds all of our technologies, what kind of a mind are you looking at? Not yours or mine. It has to be, it exceeds all of our technologies according to this information expert who worked in Germany for 30 years as the lead information scientist. Here he is saying here, look, this is Werner Gett, again, 30 years, director, professor at Federal Institute of
Physics. There's so many
Physics.
more professors and stuff that say evolution is true just because one says it's not true.
There's a whole bunch more here. Say it's
Four.
You say 4. You want a list of 1,000?
One thing.
I have a list of more than 1,000.
Okay.
Say evolution doesn't work.
Yeah, but one thing.
It takes
so
a
you
very
don't
big
believe
staple to
evolution,
get through all that paper.
But do you not see like bacteria mutates and stuff every day, which proves evolution?
I love that you said that, because there's actually an experiment going on right now about bacteria and its ability to do what? Well, it's right here. Watch this. This is the longest study going on to watch bacteria mutate into something more advanced, right? So what's happening here? 2018, this is not long ago, 2018 study analyzing the DNA of mitochondria.
Yeah.
There's actually barcodes. They can actually go back and they can look at universal common descent. But they're finding that it only goes back after doing, there's 100,000 because you can go into a bank where they keep adding that. But it only goes back to a point where there's like 100,000 years and it stops. And so that doesn't answer for billions of years. Not only that, he says there's a lack in between those intermediates. There's no transitional forms in between. Now there's even more than that, because look at this. Microbiologists watch more than 70, now there's more than 75,000. You can actually get on the computer and see daily. These E. coli bacteria is called the long-term experiment, evolution experiment. Okay, here's what's happened. They wanted these prokaryote cells to turn into eukaryote or something more advanced, right? So we're going to do this since 1988. It's very long term. And every day they've been very careful to go to the next generation and put them in another solution. They're guarding this and watching this, hoping for something to come about. Here it is. Watch this. 75,000 now generations of E. coli bacteria became normal, mutant, or dead. What kind? Bacteria. What kind of bacteria? E. coli bacteria. Since its inception, I got the number wrong. It was 1988. They've been doing this. It's not 1998.
Okay.
This ongoing long-term
So there's
evolution
no
experience.
eukaryotes at the end. But that's only after like 20 years. Like it takes millions of years.
However, when you're looking at a generation, our generations are more like 40 or maybe 70 years or whatever. This represents more than 2 million years of human generations. You would expect over that amount of time, watching these very carefully, that these generations would have come with some advancement, but they haven't changed.
You can't, can you?
Okay, but here's what you got. This is the closest thing you have to direct, not indirect inference. We think that maybe, and our theories are, this is direct. And the closest they're getting to it now, they're saying it's not changing. It's still bacteria. All I'm saying is the evidence is not leading to a place where you can actually say, would you like that? You can have that. That's so nice. You made my day. Would you like a little bit about this information?
I'm going to show this to my dad.
Oh, I'm so glad. Look, and we've already
He
discussed
believes
these.
in the Big Bang.
Oh, the Big Bang. I'm trying to now that's another great question. When have you ever seen an explosion create order?
No, I'm not saying
That's what
I
I
believe
thought.
in it. I'm just saying he
Good
does.
for you.
It's
Good for
fine
you.
if he wants to believe in
You
that,
just
though.
need to be standing up and say, I'm
I
just
don't believe
Dad,
in
I'm looking for
anything,
the
I don't know.
evidence.
I mean, personally,
Go where the evidence leads. You'll be safe.
as a biologist, I obviously believe in evolution.
Well, I wouldn't say that should be obvious, because as a biologist, you used to say, where does the evidence lead? Doesn't biology contain information that is instructional?
I mean, so far, no offense, not your point to persuade me into believing your non-evolution theory.
My confidence would not be that suddenly you want to get religion. No, stay away from that thought, but say, I want to go where the evidence leads. And when the evidence takes me down a path where I can't explain it, except that there is, here's another example. Science says biogenesis has been proven. Science fiction is still holding on to abiogenesis. The evolutionary community, look at this.
Thank you.
Here's another evolutionist. You'd think that he would let go, right? He's still alive. I found out. I thought he was already gone. Nope, he's up at Harvard still. His name is
Maybe don't talk to him then.
yeah, Richard Lewontin. Watch this guy here. Watch what he says. Our willingness to accept scientific claims that are against common sense. That's the key to an understanding the real struggle between science and the supernatural. Why? He says this. It's not that the methods and institutions of science somehow compel us to accept the material explanation of the phenomenal world, but on the contrary, that we are forced by our a priori adherence to material causes. Why? We cannot allow a divine foot in the door. That's not science. That's a worldview that doesn't bend to the evidence. Tell your dad about that one. Okay. You're very welcome. Listen, it's been wonderful talking with you.
Okay, one thing. Obviously,
Yes.
I appreciate all your efforts, but like, why did you promote this? Like, what?
You're right, because what's the point of winning this argument?
Yeah, because obviously a lot of people are going to disagree. You're using your time to promote your
Now,
views,
here's
like,
what I'm doing.
everyone just thinking,
Nobody's paying me. I don't get an extra point for this.
Yeah.
Here's what it is. Back in 1973, as an agnostic, I said, I want some evidence. I want to know where this leads. And I got to thinking about 1973, 1,973 years ago. Something pretty important happened. We date our calendar by that. Now it's 2019, of course. You know I'm pretty old. 2019 years ago, the one who said he would come into this world and said why he would come, where he would come, what he would do, how he would die, that would pierce his hands and his feet. There's more than 300 prophecies, detailed prophecies, where he came into this world and proved himself to be the one who wrote the DNA code. Because he could also
Jesus
write...
from DNA code.
Certainly. He also wrote the history book before he got into this world. And gave you the who, what, where, what. Well, yeah. I guess you haven't been doing the investigation, because I can give you more than 300 prophecies. And you know who else did that?
Watson and Crick, whatever, discovered DNA.
Pardon?
I thought it was like the scientists Watson and Crick.
Well, no. Here's example here.
Not Jesus.
This is science. We're just talking about knowledge. Ciencia. You know what that means?
That's what all the scientists have spent their lives like working out DNA.
I understand that. I understand that. A lot of scientists are walking away from now because the evidence doesn't fit. There's more than 1,000 PhDs who have signed a document saying, "Stop calling this science." Where you're just imagine it happened with the rabbits when that doesn't answer the evidence. Like this guy. Oh, you didn't get one. Oh, yes, you did.
Okay, she's got them.
It's all right,
we've got enough.
Well,
to
answer your question, what's the point of being out here unless it really leads to something relevant to you? Why it's relevant to you? Because the one who wrote the DNA code, he also wrote something just as difficult. He wrote a history book before the history happened, with the kind of details nobody else could do. And he challenged all others to do the same thing. Here's the way he said it. 700 years in advance, he says, "Produce your cause," Isaiah the prophet saying, "says the Lord. Make your case. Bring forth your strong reason, says the King of Jacob. Tell us," here it is, "what shall happen." Tell us the details. Tell us the former things, what you said, so we can consider the latter end of them, so that we'll know that you're God's. He's mocking anyone else who makes some divine claims of being the one who wrote this DNA code. And nobody can do it except for the one who wrote the history book. Right? There's an example over there. Just a few. I got 300 on another sheet of paper. Who, what, where, why, when, and how. When I say where, the President of the United States 50 years from now, what family is he going to come from?
I don't know.
What a dumb question.
Do you know?
No, I'm saying God knew.
So you should know that if you know.
No, I know the God.
How-
Here's what I'm saying. It's impossible for the human mind to do that, but God could look into the future, tell you what family the Messiah is
How
going to
do
come
you
from.
know He's predicted all the future? How do you know that already?
Okay, here's how I know. These Jewish scriptures were sealed before Christ came into this world. And in case somebody thinks, oh, maybe they wrote it afterwards. You ever heard of Alexander the Great? Yeah, they came to in the scene and said, Greek, we're all going to do this in Greek. So they took those Hebrew scriptures and they wrote them into Greek. 70 scholars, that's what they call the Septuagint, sealed that. So there you have all these precise prophecies, 250 years sealed before Christ came into this world. Bethlehem, though you're little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of you shall come forth unto me one who will be ruler in Israel, who's going forth been of old, even from everlasting. Isaiah gives the purpose when he says, he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was on him. That is, so we could have peace. That was on him. And with his scourging, we are healed. Then he says this, all we like sheep, Isaiah still, have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way. And the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all. Why would he do such a thing? Because God of material absolutes, mathematical absolutes, is also the God of moral absolutes. And he says, according to this verse, all we like sheep have gone astray. You know, there's a price to pay for that. And you know what he was willing to do? Pay the price for you. You know, this is what it looks like here. I'm just giving you that one verse. Let's back up at that verse a moment ago. He was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. Check this out. Watch this. Was God satisfied with what he did? Watch this. He shall see the travail of his soul, or the anguish of his soul, and shall be what? Satisfied. By his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify men. Here's how you get a hold of that. The one who kept that promise to come into this world, and he did. You date your calendar the same way I did. It's now making you a promise, and he says, I don't need a name. What's your name? Jessica, behold. And what's your name?
Neve.
I don't leave you out, Neve. So, I stand at the door and knock. I kept my promise.
Yeah.
Now I'll keep my promise to you. If you'll open the door, if anyone hear my voice, any man, meaning any person, Old English, hear my voice and open the door, is my promise, I will come in.
Yeah.
You don't open the door, he's not going to force his way in. But he paid the penalty so that his moral absolutes could be, there it is, satisfied by his knowledge till my righteous servant, justify Neve, justify Jessica, for he shall bear their iniquities. You know, this is not something that's off in some la-la land, like the evolutionists want you to believe that the frog becomes a prince, right? Darwinian, you know, amphibians, those are frogs, right? Just wait for more billions of years. Never mind the law of increasing entropy. Just try to ignore that. But all the science goes against that. But all the evidence goes not only to the one who wrote the code, but who came into this world and says, look, Jessica, Neve, just open the door.
Yeah.
Can I give you that?
Thank you so much.
Thank
I've got to
you.
go. Thank you for sharing your
It's been a pleasure. Let me make sure you
with
get...
your protest.
It is a protest against this other stuff.
I really hope you go to heaven. I hope it's real.
Thank you. Thank the Lord for evidence that absolutely demands a verdict. It may be an old slogan, but it's wonderful not to talk about religion out here. It's wonderful to say the evidence is a foundation that cannot be refuted. All you need is honesty and humility. Thank the Lord for the truth that makes us free. Amen.